Well, hello everybody, and welcome to day 19. Today we're going to do lesson 27, and yes, I know there's no music, but I couldn't really think of anything kind of silly or goofy to do, so just imagine me wearing more Mickey ears or something, I don't know. But today is, like I said, day 19, lesson 27. I can compare fractions. We're comparing again. I can compare fractions greater than 1 by creating common, that's an important word, numerators and denominators, or it could be numerators or denominators. That's going to be how we're going to compare them. Still using everything we've already learned about fractions. And we're going to use the steps that we've learned since I've been teaching you using these YouTube videos. But this is what we're doing. Also, I know yesterday's video was a little bit long, on the long side yesterday, just because I had a lot to get through and I want to give you every example. Well, today, in order to keep it short, I've abbreviated. I looked at the problem set, and we're just going to work through the problem set, and these are the problems that we're going to work on. I think the problem set has a total of 6 and like 16 problems, maybe 18, and we're going to work through like half of them, only half of them. So, what I would like you to do is go ahead and take out that problem set. I'll pause. That was me pausing. I'll pause for you, and you have that problem set out, so you can work along with me. And if you want to go ahead and circle the problems we're going to work on problem 1, we're just going to work on problems 1 and 2. We're just going to work on problems 1 and 2, or I'm sorry, 1A and C. So you can circle A and C if you'd like. B and D, B is just like A and D is just like C. But we're going to work on just problems 1A and C as an example. And then on the bottom, we will do 2AB. So we will do both of those for 2. So let's go ahead and let's look at our first problem, 1A. And it says we have 3 and 2/3, and we're comparing that to 3 and 5/6. Well, hopefully you will see this. Our whole numbers are the same, aren't they? So, as we're comparing them, trying to see which one's larger, it doesn't matter about those two whole numbers. This is a whole number of 3, this is a whole number of 3. So what I'm going to do is just kind of cross them out. And now I just have to compare, well, which one is greater, 2/3 or 5/6? Well, they don't have the same denominator. They don't have the same numerator. But you know what? There is something I can do. I'm going to look at my smaller numerator, the 3. Can I multiply 3 by anything to get to 6? Yes. If I multiply that 3, my denominator by 3, or I'm sorry, by 2, I can get, that'll become 6. So I'm going to rewrite this down here at the bottom. I got 2/3. And like I said, I'm going to multiply that by 2, because 3 times 2 equals 6. And you remember, whatever I do to my denominator, I have to do to my numerator. So if I multiply my denominator by 2, I'm going to have to multiply my numerator by 2, and that's going to be 4/6. Well, now I'm comparing 4/6 and 5/6. This already had a 6 as a denominator. They have the same denominators. So now I just look and see, well, if they've got the same denominators, it's like my pizza. I divided my pizza up into 6 pieces. This says I've got 4 of the 6 pieces. I ate 4 of the 6 pieces. This says I ate 5 of the 6 pieces. So therefore, the 5/6 is greater, or the 3 and 5/6. All I'm doing is I'm looking at my denominator and I'm saying, well, can I multiply my smaller denominator by anything to get to that 6? And yes, I can. I can multiply it by 2. Let's look at problem C. I will say, if you look at problem B, the answer is equal. I'll let you figure that one out on your own. Let's look at C. For C, we have 4 and 3/6. And we have 4 and 1/3. They both have the same whole number. I'm just going to cross those whole numbers out because I don't need them anymore. Now I'm just comparing 3/6 and 1/3. Wait a minute. Those are the same two denominators I had above there. So I know that if I multiplied that 3 by 2, my denominator in the second fraction by 2, that'll give me a denominator of 6. And it's an equivalent fraction. So let's just go ahead and let's do that. I've got 1/3 And this time I'm going to multiply it by 2. And we know that 3 times 2 is 6, and 1 times 2 is 2. So that gave me the equivalent fraction for 1/3 is 2/6, and I had 3/6 over here. So which one was greater? The 3/6 is greater than the 1/3. So I can just draw that right there. So there we go. We've already worked through the first. All you're doing with those first few problems is you're looking at your denominators and seeing, is there anything I can multiply my smaller denominator by to get to the same, to get equivalent fraction that has the same denominator as my other fraction. And there we go. Another thing, if you look at the directions that say draw a tape diagram, you can cross that out. I don't care if you draw the tape diagram. I just want you to find equivalent fractions that are easy to compare. And you can only compare fractions that have the same denominator or same numerator, as we will see in problem number 2. I'm going to erase on my board. Hopefully you got those answers written down. If not, hey, you can always rewind me. So let's look at 2. We're looking at 2a. 2a says I've got 2 3/5, and I've got 18/7. Wait a minute. That's a mixed number. That's an improper fraction. Those are going to be kind of hard to compare here. What if I start out by making both of these mixed numbers? I can either make them both improper fractions, make both of them mixed numbers, but I'm going to go ahead and make both of these mixed numbers because I like the little cowboy method. So I'm going to put my cowboy there, draw my cowboy hat, and that's going to put 18 inside the house, 7 outside. And if I divide 18 by 7, well, 7 goes into 1 0 times, but 7 goes into 18 2 times, because 2 times 7 is 14, 3 times 7 is 21. 21 is way bigger than 18. So I'll say 2 times 7 is 14. That's going to leave me with a subtract 4. And my 18/7 as a mixed number is going to be 2 4/7. So now I've got 2 3/5. I'm comparing it with 2 4/7. Well, this is going to be different. Can I multiply 5 to get to 7? No. Can I multiply 7 to get to 5? No. So what I'm going to do here is, in that case, I'm just going to take, the friends visit us, I'm just going to take and say, well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to multiply my two denominators together. So if this, I've got a denominator of 7 and a denominator of 5. So I'm going to take this fraction right here, because they both have the same, remember, see, they both have the same whole number, so I can, once again, cross those out. And now I'm just looking at 3/5 and 4/7. Well, if I take my 3/5 and I multiply it by my other denominator, take the denominator from the other fraction, multiply that by 7. Well, remember, whatever I do to the denominator, I've got to do to my numerator. And that's going to give me 5 times 7 is 35. And 3 times 7 is 21. Well, that's got to, now I've got an equivalent fraction of 21/35. Well, now let's look over here at 4/7. Well, this time, instead of multiplying by 7, I'm going to multiply it by 5, the other denominator. And whatever I do to the denominator, I've got to do to my numerator. So 5 times 7 is 35. And 4 times 5 is 20. Now I've got two different fractions I can compare. 21/35 or 20/35. And which one is larger? Well, the 21, that's a larger numerator. So there's my answer. We could say 2 3/5 is greater than 2 4/7. Well, that is problem A. Gave you a chance to pause it and write down that answer if you'd like. Let's look at 2B, or not 2B. Well, we'll do 2B. We have got 2 3/8 and 2 1/3. Well, once again, we have the same whole number again. They keep giving us these problems where we have the same whole number. So let's scratch it out. So now I'm just looking at 3/8 and 1/3. Well, can I multiply 8 by anything to get to 3 or 3 by anything to get to 8? No. But my numerator I can. What can I multiply 1 by to get to 3? Of course, if I multiply it by 3. Well, whatever I do to my numerator, I've got to do to the denominator. I can't just do multiply the top by 3 and not the bottom. So 1 times 3 is going to give me 3, and 3 times 3 is going to give me 9. And now I'm comparing two fractions that have the same numerator but different denominators. I've got 3/8 and 3/9. And if you remember, when I have the same numerator, whichever denominator has a smaller number, means my pieces are larger. That is going to be my larger fraction. So what we would say is 2 3/8 is greater than 2 1/3. There we go. That's all you have to do. Is just see, is there something I can multiply my numerator by to get to the same answer, or is there something I can multiply my denominator? Right. Let's erase this. Now, we're already halfway through. Now let's look at the back side of that worksheet. Now we're going to look at the 3, and if you want to go ahead and circle the ones that we're working on today, we're going to work on 3, D, E, F, H, and J. D, E, F, H, and J. Those are the ones I've selected. If you look at A, B, and C, those are all a lot like what we just did on the front page. So rather than just repeating ourselves, let's just go ahead and work on 3D first. 3D says I've got 5 2/3, and I'm comparing that to 5 9/15. And if you notice, like on the front page, they had wanted us to use an area model. By the way, you don't have to use an area model. You're not going to have to draw a tape diagram. All I want you to do here is you just do the same steps we did on the front. So once again, do we have the same whole numbers? Yes, we do. So let's just cross them out. Cross them out. And now that's going to leave me with 2/3 and 9/15. We have different denominators and we have different numerators. But because I know my multiplication facts and I know my 3's, I know if I multiply 3 by 5, that's going to give me 15. So let's just do that. 3 times 5. That's going to give me 15. Well, whatever I do to the bottom, or my denominator, I have to do to my numerator, that number on top. And 2 times 5 is 10. Well, now I've got two fractions I can compare. I've got 10/15 and 9/15. And if my pieces are the same, remember that what I divided that whole number into, if those pieces are the same, I divided it into 15ths, and this one's got 10/15, and that one has 9/15, then this one is greater. The first fraction is greater, so what we would say is 5 2/3 is greater than 5 9/15. That's D. Let's go ahead and let's work on E. E says I've got, I like this one, 7 halves and 7/3. I like problems like this because there's nothing I have to do here. I just know that if I had to take my pizza and I divide it into halves, if I have two pizzas, same size, two medium-sized pizzas, and I divide this one in halves and this one into thirds, and I've got 7 of my 1/2 pieces here, I've got 7 of my 1/3 pieces here, we know that 7 halves is going to be greater than 7/3 because halves are larger pieces than thirds. Excellent. There's E. F. For F, what I'm going to do here for F, I'm going to have to erase first so I have some room to move here. We're going to do 3F. F is going to give me some larger numbers, but that is okay because we're good at math. F is going to say I've got 12/3 and I've got 15/4. Now there's, like you've always heard me say, many paths lead to the same answer. I can do one of two things. I can convert these into mixed numbers, which that might be the easiest way to do this, because I know that 12 divided by 3 is going to be 4. Because I know if my whole numbers are 3/3 is 1 whole, 6/3 is 2 wholes, 9/3 is 3 wholes, and 12/3 is 4 wholes. So that's going to be 4. What about this? What about 15/4? Well, let's just go ahead and do the cowboy method. And I've got 15 divided by 4. And I know 4 will go to 1, but 4 goes into 15. And I've got 4, 8, 12, 16. It's too big. So it's going to be 3 times. 3 times 7 is 12. 15 minus 12 is 3. Here's my whole number, 3. There's my denominator, or my numerator. And there's my denominator. And if we're comparing 4 wholes to 3 and 3/4, we know. There you go. 12/3 is greater than 15/4. All right, that's F. We just have 2 more today. Go ahead and erase my board so I have some room to move here. We're going to move on to H. Oh, I forgot to erase my F so you all can see what we're doing. And thank you, Kara, or Mrs. Westner, for helping me by moving the board so it's not too shiny. H is going to be 21/4 and 5 2/5. Well, once again, we have an improper fraction and we have a mixed number. And honestly, it's really hard to compare them that way. So here's what I think I want to do. I want to make both of these mixed numbers. So I'll take my 21/4, do the cowboy method. I'll put 21 in the house, 4 on the outside. 4 can't go into 2, but 4 goes into 21 5 times. 5 times 4 is 20. 21 minus 20 is 1. Here's my whole number, numerator, denominator. So I'm now going to have 5 1/4. And I'm comparing 5 1/4 to 5 2/5. Well, I can't compare them because they have different denominators and different numerators. So here's what I think I'm going to do. But they do have the same whole numbers, so cross those out. We don't care about those whole numbers right now. Now just comparing 1/4 and 2/5. Well, I know I can't multiply 4 times anything to get to 5, or 5 times anything to get to 4, but I can multiply that 1 up there by some number to get to 2. And what if I just multiplied it by 2? Well, whatever I do to my numerator, I've got to do to my denominator. And that's going to be 1 times 2 is 2. 4 times 2 is 8. Now, do we have the same numerators? Yes, we do. They're both got a numerator of 2. So then if they both have the same numerator, I just say, well, whichever denominator is a smaller number, there's my larger fraction, and therefore 2/8 is less than 2/5, or 5 1/4 is less than 5 2/5, or way back at the very top, 21/4 is less than 5 2/5. There's just so many ways, and sometimes you have to do some kind of moving around and converting in order to get to an answer. You can to get to 2 fractions you can easily compare. All right, let's go ahead and erase H. We've got one more to do. The last one I want to look at is J. And I did that because I know everybody always know that the last one to work, the last problem, is always the hardest. At least usually it is. We've got 3 3/4. And I've got 3 4/7. What can I do here? Well, once again, you already can see that my whole numbers are the same. So go ahead and cross those out. We're not even going to worry about those whole numbers. And now this time, now we're just comparing 3/4 and 4/7. Well. if I can't multiply 4 by anything to get to 7, and I can't multiply 7 by anything to get to 4, so let's just go ahead and do this. Let's just do like we did at the top, or on the other page. We're going to just multiply our two denominators by each other. So this denominator will be multiplied by 7, and this one will be multiplied by 4. Well, and remember, we got to be fair to both our numerator and denominator. If I didn't multiply my denominator by 4 or by 7, 4 times 7 is 28. I have to multiply the numerator by 7. And 3 times 7 is 21. Back over to the second fraction. If I multiply my denominator by 4, I've got to multiply my numerator by 4. And that will give me 4 times 7 is 28. And 4 times 4 is 16. Well, now we have the same denominator. Now we're just comparing our numerators. And we can see that 21/8 is going to be greater than 16/28. So what we would say is 3/4, or the equivalent fraction of 21/28, is greater than 4/7, or their equivalent fraction is 16/28, or the same answer at the top. That is how you do this. I may have gone kind of fast, but you can always go back and rewind and see what it is. This worksheet is exactly like your homework problems. I would just, my advice here on the homework is at the top where it says draw a tape diagram, don't worry about it. Just solve them like we just did. And I need to see that inequality symbol, that less than or greater than or equal sign. At the bottom, number 2 says use an area model. Do not use an area model. Just use those symbols. On the bottom page, we've got, it just says to compare each fraction using a greater than, less than, or equal sign. Go ahead and close that out. Just do that. That's all you have to do. Remember that tomorrow at 12 o'clock noon, if you have any questions, please bring them to me. From 12 to 12:40, we'll have a Zoom. I've sent out the invitation today, or what for now for you will be yesterday. Look at the invitation. It's on Class Dojo. It's on Class Tag, and I will see you tomorrow if you have any if you need any help. But other than that, good luck with everything, and have a nice day. Bye.